Hi guys! In this week's episode of Retro Crafts, we are visiting a popular craft from the past. It is the Flower Loom, and you can make so many different varieties of flowers with the Flower Loom. If you saw my vintage haul from last week, you know that I found a vintage Flower Loom book to add to my collection. As you can see, I have quite a few, and I could look at these books over and over again because I find the styles from the 60s to be so fun. So I actually have a vintage Flower Loom, believe it or not, but you can buy new ones, and this is what they look like. They're from Clover, and they sell them at the craft stores or online. And some of the different materials, to give you an example, you can use tulle, yarn, lace, and I've used a crinkled seam binding and different ribbons, curly ribbons, ruffled ribbons, just anything you can wrap around a peg you can make on your Flower Loom. So I do this a little bit differently from the directions. I just find this is easier for me. I stick the end of my yarn through the center of the Flower Loom, and I hold on to that end of yarn. And I begin wrapping. And basically on a Flower Loom, you just wrap from one peg to the one directly opposite, so say from 12 o'clock to 6 o'clock, and you can wrap each peg as many times as you want. It just depends on how full you want your flower, how many petals you want layered up. So I am just wrapping, and you just rotate it to the next peg every time. So depending on if you're left-handed like me or if you're right-handed, you can go clockwise or counterclockwise. It really doesn't matter at all. You just keep wrapping and rotating until you're finished, like this. And again, this is a little bit different from the instructions that come with the Flower Loom, but I actually take that ending part of the yarn and I stick it down through to the back between two petals. And that allows me to take the beginning part of the yarn and the ending part of the yarn and tie them in a knot. And this just makes it hold together a little bit better, in my opinion. It's just easier for me. So some people tape the yarn ends to the side and different things like that, but I just do this. So I'm trimming my ends. And now I'm going to show you how to do a flower center. I put some yarn on a needle, and I'm bringing it up in between one of the petals. And again, you're going to go from 6 o'clock to 12 o'clock and keep rotating around and making a stitch in between each petal. And when I say in between, I mean in the middle of each petal, like this. But there are actually several different flower centers you can do with the Flower Loom. So if you're interested on further tutorials on how to do different poofy ones or satin stitches or French knots, things like that, let me know. This is my favorite flower center because it's nice and tight and compact, and it allows me to add a jewel flower center or a pearl or a button or something like that because it's nice and compact. So it can be a little fidgety, so just, be patient because the string or yarn does like to get stuck up on the little pegs, but just keep going around and putting your stitches in the middle of each petal, and then the one directly across from it, like that. So I'm just going to continue stitching on here. And if you notice, this Flower Loom actually has a center circle of pegs as well, so you can make double flowers, but for this flower I just made a single. So now that I've finished stitching, I am going to again tie a knot. And that's it. It's super easy. It's a lot of fun. You can find them to be quite addicting. In the books, there's a million different ideas of things you can do with the flowers once you make them. And if you do a search on eBay, you can even find the vintage books there for a pretty reasonable price. So hopefully this video was interesting to you, and thank you so much for continuing to watch my videos. I appreciate every single one of you, and I hope you have a great day. Bye.